You told me to push it until I drop, didn't you? Now because of you, my credibility is in shambles." The shouts of factory manager Alex echoed through the area. I told them from the start that the deadline was impossible to meet, but they insisted on going through with it anyway. I swallowed the words that were on the tip of my tongue and just listened silently to the conversation. "Didn't I tell you before? If we don't meet the deadline, you'd be responsible," he said. I think I remember him saying something like that. Alex's angry expression suddenly turned into a smile as he said, "You're fired as of today. We don't need old-timers who tarnish the company's reputation."
Fired? That's just ridiculous.
"All decisions are mine to make. You caused this mess, so don't make excuses." To silence me, Alex slammed his fist on the desk with force. I was prepared to take responsibility, but being fired was completely unexpected. I begged for mercy, but there was no changing Alex's mind. Crushed by a sense of despair, I headed to bid farewell to my subordinates, unaware that yet another shocking event awaited me. My name is Tyler. I was hired mid-career at a well-known car manufacturing plant. Although I'm nearing retirement, I believe I'm as capable as the younger employees. My wife, Emily, is always concerned about me not overdoing it, but so far, my health has been fine. We were never blessed with children, but our relationship is strong. We are known as a loving couple in our neighborhood. Though we've been married for a good number of years, it hasn't been without its challenges. We've had countless disagreements over the years. When the company I worked for went bankrupt due to poor performance, it was a particularly anxious time. Reflecting on all the hardships we've overcome, I am truly grateful to have married Emily. Many of my peers complain about their wives, and hearing them makes me realize how fortunate I am. Currently, I hold the position of department head at work, though deep down I'm not satisfied. I earn more than enough, but being ambitious, I've always aspired for more. However, the company's policy requires a college degree for anyone to become a factory manager. Since my highest level of education is a high school diploma, I didn't meet the criteria. It's a frustrating rule, but there's nothing I can do about it. While my official title is department head, I am confident that I perform better than anyone else. In fact, I am often relied upon not just by my subordinates but by the factory manager as well. I handle scheduling and consultations on a daily basis, practically acting as if I were the factory manager myself. I have also earned the trust of factory managers from our client companies through my work. My life, both at home and work, has been fulfilling, and I had no significant complaints until now. This time, it has been decided that the current factory manager will retire upon reaching the mandatory retirement age. Consequently, a new factory manager will be appointed. His name is Alex. He is the son of the company president, and quite young. Although he graduated from a prestigious university, he lacked any substantial experience in manufacturing. His employment was clearly a case of nepotism. Possibly due to his graduation from a top university, Alex's pride is as high as Everest. He is an absolute egotist who looks down on everyone, including me, with utter disdain. Despite having no real-world experience as a professional, he refuses to listen to anyone else's opinions. People like you with a low education can't compare to someone like me from a top university. It was how he introduced himself at first. I was somewhat aware of the dangers of having an incompetent, prideful boss. But Alex's arrogance was beyond anything I could have imagined, making me wonder how such people even exist in this world. When a near retiree like you is just a department head, and a young guy like me is the factory manager, it really shows how important education is, he remarked when I greeted him. Alex only viewed the workers below him as mere pawns. Without proper consultations with others, he took on projects from major clients. You might think that in itself isn't a bad thing, But the problem was the deadlines. No matter how I calculated, even if we worked without days off, we couldn't meet them. Normally, we should undertake work with more leeway, but Alex hadn't considered any of that. Alex, this deadline is really unreasonable. There's no way we can meet it, I said. What? Are you criticizing the job I managed to get for us? Despite my advising Alex that it was utterly impossible, his displeasure was evident. Of course, I wasn't just nitpicking. Based on the daily production capacity of the machines and the inspection speed of the workers, all the data shows that it's impossible to meet the deadlines Alex has set. No matter how much I explained, Alex just wouldn't understand. Stop lining up excuses with this based on past data nonsense, he snapped. It's not like that. It's truly impossible, I insisted. This is just because you've all been slacking off. Act like you're robots, not humans, and work, he said dismissively. Facing Alex, who casually made outrageous demands, I felt a sense of despair. This was no longer about educational background. It was a matter of humanity. Despite my earnest attempts to persuade him, it all ended in vain. I had no choice but to do what was possible. I sought help from subcontractor factories and reluctantly asked my team to work overtime. I was filled with regret. The subcontractors and my team, knowing it was my request, willingly accepted. I was thankful for their generosity. Of course, I also tried my best to meet the deadline, working diligently. Feeling it unfair to ask my team to bear all the hardship, I stayed back and worked alone outside of working hours. Alex seemed indifferent even seeing this effort. Don't you dare miss the deadline I set, or you won't be forgiven, he said cheerily by my side as I worked silently. There was no notion of him helping out. Despite my repeated requests, he refused them all. Are you asking me, a graduate from a top university, to do menial machine work? He scoffed. Why is that considered menial? That's just prejudice, I argued. Don't get all red-faced just because I'm stating facts, he mocked. We really need more hands here, I explained. Stop relying on me, the factory manager, like that. It's pathetic for an old man near retirement to act this way, Alex said, laughing as he walked away. Dealing with him felt like a waste of energy. I gave up on getting angry or having expectations and focused solely on my work. I came home late into the night, often after the date had changed. I tried to maintain a smile so as not to worry my wife, Emily, but as one might expect from a spouse of many years, she could still sense the fatigue I couldn't completely hide from my expression.
Hey, you've been looking really busy lately, are you okay? She asked.
Just some unreasonable demands from the new factory manager. I'm okay, I assured her, though I seldom complained about work to Emily. I didn't want to worry her too much. However, seeing the fatigue I couldn't conceal, she couldn't help but care. We faced tough times before. I'll get through this with some grit, I said, mixing in a bit of bravado as I made a small fist pump. Emily looked unconvinced, but sighed and said, just don't overdo it. You're not young anymore. I understood the difference between doing one's best and overdoing it. Right now, I was definitely overdoing it. If I were merely doing my best, Emily wouldn't be this worried. Despite racking my brain, there was no sign that Alex would do anything about the deadline. In the midst of continuous grueling work, it was clear that my subordinates were accumulating fatigue. Noticing a clear drop in work efficiency, I decided to end the workday at noon. Pushing them any harder would inevitably lead to someone collapsing. It was just a matter of time. As expected, when I explained this to Alex, he exploded in anger. What? Working until you collapse is the basic duty of a field worker. There's no such rule, and I wished he wouldn't make such arbitrary statements.
We can't go on like this. We are not robots, I asserted.
No matter how much Alex yelled at me, I was determined to protect my team. I thought he wouldn't agree, but his response was unexpected. "Well, even if we don't meet the deadline, it won't be my fault," he said, smirking as if he'd come up with a cunning plan. "If we don't make it, it'll just be your responsibility to bear." "Fine, I'll specially allow you to end work at noon," he conceded. Though his reasoning was unsatisfactory, my priority was to give my subordinates a break. I informed everyone that we would end the workday at noon and sent them home. No job is more important than health. After sending off my subordinates, I continued working alone. The fatigue had accumulated to a point where sleep alone wouldn't cure it. Emily, as always, was the one who witnessed my state up close. Trying to alleviate my exhaustion, she went out of her way for me. One day when I came home, she had prepared my favorite dishes and some alcohol, waiting for me. Seeing the lavish dinner table, I wondered if it was some sort of anniversary.
"You've been really tired from work recently, haven't you? I thought I'd do something special for you," she said.
"Emily, thank you." I managed to say that, moved by her thoughtfulness. Holding back tears, I reached for the food laid out on the table. Fried chicken, steak, Caesar salad, and creamy soup. Each dish was a favorite of mine. "Have a good drink tonight," she urged. I don't usually drink much, but I figured tonight was an exception. I downed the whiskey Emily poured with gusto. Perhaps the alcohol loosened my tongue. I found myself unexpectedly venting about work, something I don't usually do. Most of my complaints were about Alex, the new factory manager. I spoke about the impossible deadlines he set, his high-handed speech, and his attitude. Driven by the alcohol, I let out all my grievances. Emily silently listened to my endless rant. When I finally paused, she asked, "What's his name?" "Alex, Alex Barker," I replied. "Alex Barker." Emily murmured, her expression thoughtful as she repeated the factory manager's name. I wondered what she was thinking, but decided to let it go, and took another drink. Grateful for my wife's care, I resolved anew to do my best at work. Yet, despite our best efforts, we couldn't meet Alex's deadline. The delivery was significantly delayed. We had done everything we could. If that wasn't enough, there was nothing more to be said, as both the employees and I had given our all. Still, even with that understanding, Alex was not satisfied. I was summoned by Alex and subjected to a barrage of abuse. "You told me to keep going until you collapsed, didn't you? Now because of you, my trustworthiness is plummeting." Despite me saying from the beginning that it was impossible, they went ahead anyway. I swallowed the words that almost slipped out and silently listened to Alex's rant. "Didn't I tell you before? If we don't meet the deadline, you'd be the one to take the responsibility," he said. I think I recall him saying something like that. From an angry expression, Alex suddenly switched to a smile and said, "You're fired as of today. We don't need old-timers who damage the company's reputation." Fired? That's ridiculous. All the decision-making power is mine. The root cause is your fault, so don't make excuses. To silence me, Alex forcefully slammed his desk. I was prepared to take responsibility, but being fired was beyond unexpected. I pleaded for mercy, but there was no changing Alex's mind. I should say goodbye to my subordinates before I leave. I packed up my belongings and reported to everyone at the site that I had been fired. To my surprise, the employees all showed relieved smiles. And unbelievably, they even said, "It's good that Tyler got fired." I was so shocked I couldn't even respond. I understand why Alex might be pleased, but my subordinates being happy about my departure. But on reflection, maybe it's understandable. They must see it as retribution for making them take on unreasonable work at Alex's command. "I'm truly sorry for all the hardship I've caused," I said, deeply remorseful. As I was speaking, Alex approached. Does he still have more to say? Bracing myself, he began to speak unexpectedly. Don't leave yet, you're coming with me to meet with a client. What? We're going to apologize for this mess. You're the main cause of this mess, after all. Having my last task be an apology felt unsettling, but there was no choice. According to Alex, the client's CEO, Mr. Johnson, wanted to speak with me. Wondering what he wanted to discuss, I got into the car Alex was driving.
Useless old man, make sure you apologize sincerely.
Alex made irritating remarks as he drove, and I stared out the window in discomfort. After about an hour's drive, we arrived at the client's office and headed to the CEO's office. Though I was not convinced, it was a fact that we had missed the deadline. Reluctantly, I began to apologize. But the CEO of the large company, Mr. Johnson, hurriedly stopped me. Hey, there's no need for that. He stopped me, but Alex seemed unsatisfied. He clicked his tongue in a volume just on the edge of audibility. Mr. Johnson, please don't coddle him, Alex said. What do you mean?
The responsibility for this mess lies entirely with this man, Tyler.
Is that true? Yes, it is. Come on, useless old man, apologize. Alex seemed almost delighted, as if there was nothing more enjoyable in the world. By the way, I've already fired him, so you can rest assured. Is that so? It's good that Tyler got fired. Right, the company only gets worse with him around. Now, we can scout him to our company without any reservations. Wait, what? At Mr. Johnson's comment, Alex froze in an instant. Scout him? This old man who's close to retirement. Alex, you're young, so you might not know this. Let me explain. What are you talking about? I started from the ground up to become a CEO, and during my early days, Tyler was a great help to me. I remembered those times fondly. We used to go out for drinks quite often, though it's been less frequent these days. Moreover, regarding this issue, I'm not upset. What? But we missed the deadline. I knew the terms you proposed were unrealistic. I've been monitoring the progress with that understanding. Actually, I'm impressed by how well you managed under these constraints. Mr. Johnson said, showing me a smile. It turned out, I was called in not just to be scouted, but also to be thanked. Surrounded by these unexpected developments, I returned home feeling bewildered. While having dinner with Emily, I shared today's events. Tomorrow, I think I'll go back to the company I was fired from to say goodbye properly. Didn't you already do that? It was rushed because I was called to the client's office. I want to say farewell properly. Then, as your wife, I'd like to come too. Why? That's the workplace where you've spent many years. I really want to go. I could see something like determination in Emily's eyes. It was rare for her to insist so strongly, given her usually reserved nature. All right, if you say so. Thank you, I appreciate it. The next day, I bought some small gifts at the department store before heading to the company. I handed out these gifts to each of my subordinates while saying my goodbyes. Unexpectedly, most of them were teary-eyed. They had said it was good that I was fired, yet here they were, crying. Curious, I couldn't help but ask what this was all about. Then, I heard an unexpected reason from one of my subordinates. It turns out they had been worried about me all along. They were distressed seeing me being manipulated by Alex, unable to become the factory manager, and just being used for his own ends. They believed that I could succeed in any company. Despite being fired, they thought it was for the best that I had left. They were actually happy to see me freed from an unfair and unreasonable environment. Feeling relieved that they hadn't hated me, Emily and I shared a moment of reassurance. After finishing my farewells to the team, Emily and I headed to see the factory manager, Alex. Alex, this is my wife, Emily. Alex, who had been fiddling with his phone, glanced up at Emily's face. At that moment, his face went pale. It's been a while, Alex, since that arranged meeting, right? What? Oh, you're his wife. Alex stammered, unable to hide his disturbance. I had learned yesterday that Emily knew Alex. In fact, Emily is the daughter of a big company's CEO. There's quite an age gap between us. Before we married, Emily had been set up in a matchmaking meeting with the son of a subcontractor company's president. It was Alex. However, Alex has always been prideful and arrogant. His overbearing attitude and his derogatory remarks about Emily's appearance repeatedly led, quite naturally, to the cancellation of their arranged marriage. Alex had been severely scolded by his father, but his attitude never improved. He would never have imagined that Emily would marry me. If it became known that he had been harassing the husband of a major company CEO's daughter, Alex's position would become precarious. I apologize for all the disrespect shown to your husband. Alex apologized profusely. But such actions had no impact. I overlooked your rude behavior during our meeting, but I cannot overlook the hurt you've caused to someone important to me. Please, forgive me. I will report this to my father. No. Anything but that. I'll do anything. Alex tried to plead, but it was in vain. Emily, furious, left the scene immediately. It was the first time I had seen my wife so angry. I was surprised, but even more so, I was pleased. Because her anger stemmed from someone hurting her husband. Upon returning home, Emily immediately reported everything to her father, CEO, Mr. Harrison. All of Alex's past behaviors came to light. The information spread, eventually reaching Alex's father and my former boss, President, Mr. Parker. Alex was not only severely scolded but also fired. Having previously lived comfortably under his father's patronage, he now lost that, too. Without a job, he couldn't afford his rent or living expenses and was kicked out of his apartment. Despite trying to find a new job, his arrogant nature remained unchanged, leading to repeated rejections at interviews. Having lost both his job and his place to live, he apparently ended up living on the streets. The life of a former CEO's son turned street dweller is the ultimate humiliation, and he reportedly sleeps every night with tears of frustration. Why must I, a graduate of a top university, end up like this? It's a fitting end for someone who treated people like tools and handled them carelessly. Meanwhile, I started working at a company that had scouted me from my previous dealings. Here, unlike my former company, a college degree is not necessary for advancement. Using my past experience, I quickly rose to become a factory manager. I was entrusted with one of the major company's factories, and I successfully earned trust at my new workplace. Every day is enjoyable, and even my wife can see how happy I am. I'm really glad to see you so happy, Emily said with a genuinely joyful smile. Seeing her smile, I vowed to work even harder.